What up, world? It's your host, Ish, and welcome to this segment of Ish Can Dish. After a brief absence, I'm finally back on the mic, and thank God for that, because today I'm joined by multi-instrumentalist and the originator of the summer buzz cut trend, Oscar Chain Arcade Cellura. Oscar, appreciate you for coming on today.
Wordish was good.
How you feeling, my man?
Feeling like $1 million actually. Um, just really happy to be on this podcast. I can't stop looking at myself actually.
Oh man, do a little mewing in the mirror.
I'm
What you got
kidding.
going on there?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, it's great, dude. It's great to be on. We've I've had the pleasure of being your friend for about half a year maybe or something.
Yeah,
And
a little over that. Not
dude,
against his will, folks. He actually is my
yeah,
human friend. I will send you the memo though for hanging out with me today. I appreciate
hell
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But are you out in New York right now?
yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm out in the West Village. Posted up, working on some music, everyday life.
Let's go, man. Nothing better. So I feel like to kick things off, me and also the people want to know your origin story. So what was that moment or experience that made you fall in love with music and photography at a young age? And were there like any artists that inspired you?
The first time that I really kind of knew I fell in love with music is around 9 years old when my grandpa kind of put a guitar in my hands and I was just like, this is the fucking dopest shit. And I started like geeking out and watching a ton of YouTube videos. But a lot of the groups, I was listening to like some weird shit. Like there's a band called Primus and a band called System of a Down, kind of like heavy, like hard rock, if not metal, um, and reggae, a lot of reggae. So kind of grew up in like a strange listening like phase, but I guess that was the beginning. And as far as like visual media and photography and whatnot, that came later. Really did.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome how you were kind of thrown into this like unique environment. Cause like I feel like a lot of kids growing up, at least people our age, like weren't listening to hard metal and rock. We kind
No,
of like that's very
definitely not, dude. It was like probably a lot of Jason Derulo and like, yeah. But I and Flo Rida. Oh,
yeah,
dude,
Flo Rida was big. Oh,
Black Eyed
Mick
Peas,
Jagger. Mick Jagger. I feel like Mick Jagger had like a little had his
Mick
time to
Jagger.
himself. You know, it moves like Mick Jagger. What's that
Yeah,
song?
moves like
There we
Jagger.
go. There we
Moves
go.
like Jagger. Mick Jagger, hell no. People, that's like some old shit. But
Yeah.
moves like Jagger, yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
But yeah, that was like a really interesting time because it was like more like pop, but it was like a little bit of house mixed in there. And now it's like full house. Like anytime someone sees John Summit on the screen, it's like it's just absolute insanity.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. People fuck with John. People fuck with John.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that just shows you, man, even if you're an accountant, you can still make it out in life if you want.
That's true.
Still dive into the music world. But that's awesome, man. Like really appreciate you for kind of sharing in your origin story and look where you're at today. So that kind of brings me to my next question. Like in terms of, being an artist, obviously you got to be creative. So one of the questions I have is like, how does your songwriting process work? And does it differ for like each song that you do and like the vibe that you're trying to encapsulate?
Yeah, it's different every time, really. But um it's different every time, but I do start the same. Um, and I always start with guitar or a vocal melody. But song ideas just kind of come out of nowhere. And they take a lot of influence and random occurrence. So if I'm just kind of walking around the streets, I'll observe random shit, like people walking around, like um people doing anything that'll inspire me. Um, so I like to put that right into the music. And for instance, I guess I was in Nashville last week and just being there, I started writing some country stuff. And I normally would have never done that, but location, people, everything kind of like flows through me and out through my guitar. So I'd say that's the right way to
Yeah,
describe it.
that's a great way to describe it. It's kind of crazy how your environment dictates like the type of song you're gonna have. Like you're in Nashville, you're surrounded around that country vibe. It like kind of like urges you to like write something a little bit country, kind of get in your feels a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. That like, whatever environment you're in, you kind of adapt to it. I feel like that's what separates like good artists from great artists.
Yeah, dude. And if anybody in the audience didn't know, Ish and I recorded some stuff at Venice Beach on the basketball courts, and Ish was like interviewing some fools. And that was some fucking environmental shit, dude. You were up, you had to get down with the peeps, and fucking get on the court, show your shit. Um, and let me say, I've never seen a worse basketball shot.
That's messed up.
No,
That's
I'm
you
kidding.
were
I'm
like hyping
kidding.
me up. I thought you were gonna say something nice, like, God, I've never seen such a beautiful jumper. But you're like, nope, this kid is Brick City.
Boom.
No 10 days coming his way anytime soon.
Hell no. But
Uh,
no, yeah. No, but being out in the wild and being next to other human beings is special, and you know influence and inspiration doesn't just come from like your bedroom. You got to get out in the wild and kind of experience new stuff. And especially me, I'm from Long Island in a town called Manhasset, and it was pretty one-dimensional, I would say, and not as inspiring as far as arts go. So once I started coming to New York City, that was like my whole world opened up, and I just saw that like there's just incredible people out there and that want to do the craziest things they can possibly imagine as far as creativity goes. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I feel like with New York and any big city, when you go out there, you're able to kind of find your people and mesh with them and kind of go all out with your passion. And clearly you've done that. You have accomplished like so many different things in the music industry at a young age, and the sky's the limit for you. So that kind of brings me to my next question. Obviously you kind of mentioned how you met all these different types of people, and Deacon being one of them, who's one of my friends as well. So how did you get connected with him, and what's it like been, working with him and living with him as well?
I met, yeah, Deacon on the first day, and it took us like a minute to start kicking it, but we started off as just friends, and organically, um, one thing led to another, and we were like, yeah, let's make some music together, and then we made an album, and that was like the most magical process ever. And I tell like a lot of people, like when you do something like make an album, like a big artistic project like that, can be very vulnerable, and especially if you're doing it with somebody, it kind of takes a lot. So we bonded throughout that process, and now I think we're brothers, and we live together. And I met Jaden, who was his roommate last year, but now we're like great friends and roommates too, and it all just kind of came together naturally. And that's like, I can't ask for anything else. But Deacon, I think Deacon's one of the greatest people I know. Like he's just an incredible human and just cares. At the end of the day, it's about family and friends, and no amount of anything else can change it. So he's just a pure soul, and you can't take that away from him.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's pretty crazy how, that first week, that first encounter of him just like going up to you, like asking you about your hairdo.
Yeah,
And it's like this like beautiful friendship. That's pretty amazing, man. That's super cool to hear. And it's pretty awesome, like how much you guys have accomplished within the last couple of years.
thank you.
Producing all this different stuff, doing other different like types of content to like keep your audience engaged. So that kind of brings me to my next question. You've got an album dropping soon in My Heart Lied, which honestly
Oh,
could be the title of my autobiography. So appreciate the
yeah.
information on that end.
Wait,
So,
like in a relationship sense or what?
well, we don't got to dive deeper into that. I plead the fifth, but we're going getting back on a topic here. Like what was the story? What was the inspiration behind it? And what story do you plan to tell with that album?
All right, so this new album, I first thought of the concept when Deacon Jaden and I were in LA doing a show. And we were like heading to a rehearsal studio out in the valley somewhere, and I never been there. I'd never been to the valley before, and I was like, um, in some parts it's like barren kind of, and like factories and shit. And so I just was like, wow, we're kind of like in a wasteland. We're in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. When we were out in that area, it's kind of isolated and lonely. And I just kind of thought of the theory, like I kind of just thought of a question like, what if you imagined a significant other, someone that you were dreaming of, um, and then but the only time you can experience that love towards that person was in this state of loneliness in this wasteland. Um, and then once you leave, the memory fades and the dream fades and you're alone again. You're like back to like reality. Um, and that kind of thought, that kind of like weird like world I thought of in my head. Originally I was gonna name it Wasteland actually, but there was another album that's called that. But I changed it to My Heart Lied because it prompts you to really think like, what is my heart telling me? Can I trust my heart to lead me to the right one, in a relationship sense? And you know, when you're in a state of loneliness, if you're dreaming of a girl or a guy, or if you're dreaming of like a significant other, um, where does that leave you? And what does that make you question yourself? So that's kind of the gist of it. But I've been working on it for about 6 months, and it's only 6 songs, but I'm really like, I'm a geek when it comes to like perfection. So, yeah, it's been a mission for sure.
Wow, man, that's an incredible journey, and um, clearly there's a lot of depth to what the album means. And
Right.
I feel like with the fact that there's only 6 songs, that just shows that each song has like a significant meaning and like tells a story in chronological order. So that's
It
super
does.
cool that you got that coming out. Do you have like a set release date for that?
Yeah, the last week of July.
Last week of July. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Last week of July, the whole music world's going to turn upside down with this. So definitely tune in to My Heart Lied. A lot of good stuff come out of that. And I feel like as an artist, one of the best parts is like performing on stage and having a crowd around you and being at all these different venues and whatnot. So out of all the performances you've done, which one has been the most memorable experience for you?
Hmm, good question. I would say, um, I would say the one that we did in Baltimore for the Orioles baseball team opening day. Um, that was a crazy one because it was a huge crowd. That was the biggest crowd that I've ever performed in front of and that we've ever performed in front of. And it was like a Deacon show. And I was the guitarist and Jaden was on the decks. Um, but we uh we took the train down to Baltimore and got like our hotel paid for, and like that was like it felt like we were kind of on tour because it's like everything was paid for, and we were the talent. We just had to roll up and you know
Yeah, you feel
fucking
like the guys. You feel like the face of the franchise.
yeah, totally. So that was a really, I've never had that experience before, and we were just tripping because it was a lot of people. We were opening up for these DJs, two friends. I think that's um and yeah, it was just cool. We performed in front of a thousand people and had giant speakers, and we were like tripping. It was sick, and we got to stay at the hotel, and we had like some friends there. Um, so we went out and everything. It was sick. It was amazing,
Awesome.
and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's a pretty memorable experience, especially like performing for a professional MLB team like on their opening
Yeah,
day. That's a
it's
lot
crazy.
of eyeballs on the screen. More importantly, did you get exclusive access to the game? You must have, right?
Well, I don't know about exclusive, but we just like rolled up and like sat in some seats behind the plate or something. Like
Gotcha.
I don't know too much about baseball,
That's
but
fair.
it was we were at the game after, and it was crazy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, I'm obviously a casual baseball fan, but behind the plate is pretty good access. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
well
Well, that's how
deserved.
we roll, dude. That's how we roll.
Exactly, man. Oh, that's awesome. So I feel like you kind of touched upon a little bit about your like passion for photography. So how do you think that has influenced your music and vice versa?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think photography and just visual media in general, um, just goes hand in hand with music. I mean, uh there was a whole era like when MTV was popular, like was really popular back in I forget like the 90s or something.
I'd say that yeah, the 90s is where it dominated. Maybe early 2000s, there was a little bit of an era with MTV Cribs, but yeah.
Well, yeah, totally. But I'm more talking about like music videos. And like you associate sound with visuals and you associate visuals with sound. And like when I was making this album, I was really focused on a one picture of me. And that's going to be the cover, but I was just thinking about what each thing represents in the photo and where a photo is, and you just pick up endless amounts of information from a single image. And some of the greatest photographers that I've ever seen, and I've had to be the pleasure of having be my friend. One of them is Richard Corman, and he has done photos for everybody like Basquiat, Robert De Niro, you name it. Um, and he does everything in black and white, or most things in black and white. And you just can sit there and marvel at someone's facial definition or what they're feeling. And at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to their eyes, and especially in portrait work. But like, it's a thing about imagination and what you can pick up. And if you're looking at an array of colors or an array of pixels in like a picture, that's you get a feeling, you get a vibe, you get an energy. So it's all relatable. I really do think that all creative outlets are this like the same energy, basically. So if you're a photographer, if you're a musician, if you're a um anything, painter, poet, um, you're using the same energy, the same areas of your brain, and you're picking up the same like inspiration from the universe as anybody else kind of would be. And so it's just something that it can translate. I think all art is translatable to another. So that's why I kind of have taken the jump into like photography and writing, like screenwriting or anything.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, obviously, this is an overused phrase, but I'm still going to say it anyways. A picture truly does say 1,000 words. Is that what it is? Yeah, right.
No, picture is worth
A picture's
worth.
worth a
Yeah.
thousand
I think
words.
it's worth.
Yeah, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But going on to your point right there, I feel like with every great photo, it kind of sets up as like this amazing attention grabber. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because I
Dude,
feel
well,
like,
think about like what are like some of your favorite albums? Like, do you have any like off the top?
honestly, like Carter 5.
Yeah, and dude, that like
Yeah.
fucking that picture of Wayne in the cover, like that picture and you
Also
associate.
graduation too. Like that's such a
Yeah.
like beautiful picture with like so much attention to detail.
Yeah, you put every cover like in the world of like cover art for music, that is like people freak out at like, oh, what should it be? What should it not be? But at the end of the day, like it doesn't really matter that much because no matter what it is, you're gonna associate it with the music, and that's kind of a beautiful thing. Like, um, yeah.
No, totally. I mean, I honestly couldn't have said it better myself. Like, I feel like with an album cover, that kind of reminds me of like the front page of like a newspaper. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's
Mhm.
the attention grabber right there. And like the fact that you put so much time and effort into, your photography and you've been able to translate those skills to help like increase engagement and like drive up new audiences for your music. It really does go hand in hand. And obviously, you've kind of been living this rock star lifestyle, for the past couple of years with Deacon and Jaden and obviously Jack as well. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you are still a student. So like one of my questions is, and like obviously I just graduated college, so I have a little bit of understanding of this realm. So as a student at NYU, how do you balance your academic responsibilities with your music career? And has your coursework like helped you kind of hone in on your craft?
Hmm. Well, I tell this to a lot of like people, like, don't be afraid to fail all those courses. Don't be afraid to flunk out of college. Just I'm kidding. Nah, I do pretty well, honestly, like considering the amount of like I don't really um I wouldn't consider myself a A plus student or an A student, but I think I do pretty well, and I definitely try because I'm really fortunate to be able to go to a school like NYU. So I would never waste that opportunity, but it's definitely a serious commitment, and doing music on the side or really at the same time, it's like, you're fighting two giant battles that are like both gnarly. So, you kind of have to, I've kind of leaned more in the music side, but you have to kind of just manage it. It's nobody is truly good at but balancing two lives like that. So you kind of just have to like roll with the punches and see what happens. But I mean, yeah. I mean, what did you learn after like all those years of college? Like, do you think um it's all like worth it in the end?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, there's so many different avenues you can go with that answer because personally for me, I'm so thankful for the last 4 years at UW-Madison. I've been able to, create so many amazing friendships, develop memories that are going to last me a lifetime, and more importantly, just made really strong connections that I feel like I can translate to the industry I want to get into, which is obviously sports and working in brand partnerships and content creation for like a sports entertainment agency. So it's I can't complain about my last 4 years at UW. It was awesome. I mean, obviously it's really expensive. Like let's get that out of the way. But besides the price and everything, it was an amazing experience that I'll never forget. Arguably the best 4 years of my life so far. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was an
Totally.
amazing experience.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, so with my next question, this is kind of looking towards the future. Um, and obviously,
Mm,
there's a lot that's happening in the future, but for you personally, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
dead or in prison.
Yeah,
I don't get
you kept a straight face there for a sec. I was like,
yeah.
whoa,
No,
might have to
I
end this interview a little bit early, but no, that's awesome, man.
no, I in the next 5 years, I have no idea. Like I really have no idea, man. Like I just fucking it's day by day. Like
Day by day.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do in the next month.
Yeah,
And it's like the scary part. But like, you kind of have like a lot of artists go through this, like, oh, art, like being a creative has no guarantees. It's like all risks kind of you're
yeah.
taking.
I mean,
And
you
there's
are betting on yourself. You're rolling the dice, but I feel like that's the life you kind of want to be living, you know?
totally, yeah.
All
It
the chips at the
there's
top.
no sort of job security in art and being creative, and so I don't expect anything. I don't wait for anything or anybody. I just kind of go at the speed, like a fast speed that I can keep up with, and just
Totally.
try to work as hard as I can, and just make friends. And it's just all about having a community, really. You can just that's all it's about, and having friends and family, man. Like you need people around you to help you out. Like the people that I'm lucky to know in my life, the successful ones, like they all have the best teams and the best people around them, and that's what really helps you get to the top of wherever you want to be. So that, it's a dream of mine to have just keep building like my friend base, and just a bunch of people that are good-hearted people and want to see each other grow. And yeah, that's all I want. And to
Yeah, honestly,
make
yeah.
good music and fucking go to a show and like blow someone's face off with a fucking massive guitar amp.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, man, that's very like poetic of you and kind of mature of you to realize that obviously in the industry that I'm going into, like I really am betting on myself. And there is that question of financial security and will I be able to kind of like keep my lifestyle up with the stuff I want to do and whatnot. But the fact that you're pretty grounded and you've got like a really good support system definitely feeds into, diving deeper into your dreams. So that's some inspirational stuff.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
for kind of opening up on that. And I feel like that my next question is, with the rise of digital media platforms in the last couple of years, how has that influenced your music career and has that helped you generate more exposure?
Well, it's just like that shit's all crazy to me. Like I don't
It's a wild world, dude.
yeah, man, like it's just like billions of people like can just get up and post a video and it's just the industry is really dense and the social media aspect of it is so dense too. So like, you know, I don't even know how to navigate it. I think nobody knows how to navigate it. And if they tell you they do, they don't.
I agree.
But it's just you just have to put yourself out there and get like let people really know who you are, and not be too protective of yourself. Like I've definitely felt that in the past, like, oh, I don't want to put this and that online or whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you have good intentions and are pure about it, it's just about building, a fan base and a base of people that know who you are for what you are.
Absolutely. I feel like when you're kind of diving into the social media world, you got to understand that it's going to take some time. You got to be patient about it because when you're trying to build something big, it's gonna take a while. So you just gotta. I feel like the thing is you gotta just like put yourself out there, be authentic, and just more importantly, know your skill set and know what you're trying to accomplish. Because like from there, you can like dive into a niche and then develop an audience and then grow it from there. So that's good that you've kind of like realized that. And obviously, you're very skilled at what you do.
Right.
And I feel like from there, if you just have good intentions, it's going to grow over time. You just got to be patient, which is honestly a skill that's
The
very
hardest thing.
so. But yeah, just trust the process, baby. I know Deacon would like that reference. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah, no, we're big on phrases and sentences and words and shit.
exactly. So obviously, you're like, yeah, we're big on sentences. I'm like, yeah, that's how you kind of got to communicate. But so obviously, like we've kind of talked about your passion for music, but when you're not working on music or any other types of projects, like how do you like to spend your free time?
I've kind of gotten into biking, actually, cycling, but so I've been doing that and I go on a lot of walks and just but honestly, like I'm like addicted to like doing music. So I basically will do it all day long and my breaks usually just consist of hanging out with people and just talking, but um I play a lot of basketball and we'll throw around the football sometimes and stuff like that, but uh besides like sorry, hold up. Yeah. When I'm in the city, it's a little bit more limited because like there's no like sports fields or like whatever. So, it's just kind of like walking around or like I said, biking. But if I'm in Nashville or LA, then we can probably go surfing or, you know, kick around the soccer ball. But I played a lot of sports my whole life, so I love athletics and um I'm not that big on like lifting weights and all of my friends do. I don't know, do you lift?
I dabble in it. I mean, people say that I don't lift, but
Dabble.
I've been
How
in,
can
I've
you
been in the gym.
dabble?
I've been in the gym. Well, I say dabble because people like come after me for like my weightlifting capabilities because I'm not like quote unquote yoked, but like I still have some muscle definition. Do you have to pull out the magnifying glass to see it? Maybe, but I have it. So I mean, just like you, man. Like I love to like
Yeah.
work out. Love to play sports as well, like preferably like golf, basketball, or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, kind of similar to you. The way I like to unwind is just spending time with my friends.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the best type of medicine. And that helps me like not stay burnt out, which I feel like is
Yeah.
really important for staying at the top of your game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Burning out is like the worst. I burn out like every week. But like, you know, I just try to stay like disciplined. Like I'm just finishing up the mixes for the album right now and like all day long, imagine listening to the same guitar part.
Yeah.
you start to think it's shit.
That'll
Like
make
you're
my head
like,
go round
oh,
and round,
this
bro.
is like the
My
fucking
God.
worst guitar
Yeah.
part. My vocal sucks. Like, or it sounds like shit. It doesn't sound like, I listen to like all these like groups on Spotify or Apple Music, and I'm like, yo, this sounds insane. And then like I put on my music, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like I'm shit. But you have to just fight through it. You have to, you can't. You got to just realize at the end of the day that like every artist is different and everybody has their own sound, and no matter how much work you put into it, like at the end of the day it's either your voice or someone else's voice, or the guitar you have or someone else's guitar and amp combination. So like you know you can't be too careful. That's what I've kind of learned, but I'm like try to perfect everything, so it's like the worst.
But I feel like when you're a perfectionist, like that makes you kind of just dial in more on your craft. And
Yeah. Oh
and it,
yeah.
it also allows you to be patient with your work so that it turns out really well. So even though that is kind of seen as like a sickness, it's also kind of a blessing in disguise. So that's good that you kind of been able to channel it and clearly produce high quality music content.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a mission, but you know, all artists go through the same, kind of process of determining if their stuff is good enough to put out, or if it's better than the next person's art. So, you can't be too careful, and you got to just trust that your stuff is good, and you got to just roll with it. And hey, whatever happens,
Hey,
happens.
man. Yeah, just got to roll the dice and live with the consequences, man. That's what makes life worth living.
Yeah, it does.
So I feel like as like a lasting impression, to all the viewers and even me, with you, having so much experience in the arts and it being such a big part of your life, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians who are just starting out?
I would tell them to go and work in insurance.
All right,
No, thank.
Affleck. All right, Affleck.
Yeah.
I didn't know we
All right,
had Jake
all
from
right,
State Farm
Geico.
like piping words into your
Yeah,
mouth.
I know.
Um,
No, I would on a real note, I would tell them to just work until they kind of hate it in a way. Like you gotta get down with it. Like if you think the artistic process is all like, sunshine and flowers the whole time, like it's not. It's gnarly and it's gonna suck at some point. So it's like anything. It's like it turns into a job. And so you have to treat it like one a little bit, but you have to love it at the end of the day. Like if you don't love your instrument or singing or producing, um, like I'll take like if I take a month off of like I've done a month off of music once, and like I like wanted to get back to the guitar so badly, and anything would just get me like geeked out on it. So
yeah.
I really wanted to get back to the guitar, and like for someone like Deacon, he's a huge on production and then being in the computer. Um, and I know that he like sit there and like scroll through sounds and like different like synthesizers all day. And you know, you gotta love it. You have to just be in love with it forever. And you know what? I said enough before.
No, no, I mean you couldn't have said it better. Yeah, you couldn't have scripted a better answer. I
Thanks.
feel like no one said getting to the top of the mountain was easy, right?
No,
So
not
you gotta
even
gotta go through. I mean, I feel like with anything that you want to do, whether it's music, sports, even like investment banking or consulting, like you gotta be willing to go through the grind and be willing to go through the downs and accept failure. And you can like use those experiences as a way to, grow as a person, but also professionally. And eventually, when you put that time in and have the right people surrounded around you, you have a recipe that could lead to success. So, yeah,
totally. And
I have said it better myself.
I was also gonna say, I'm a believer, and we kind of touched on this before, but like you can't get to the top of the music game or the entertainment game without friends and a team.
Yeah,
Like
you got to have a crew.
if you're
I
doing
know.
music, you need other producer friends that will send you a random sample and you'll be like, oh my God, I'll write a song with this. Or you want to, if you have questions about a mix or like you're like, oh, I gotta write this guitar part, like shit, but I'm stumped on it. You might want to hit up your guitar playing friends and be like, guys or gals, what the hell do I do here? So it's all about friends. It's all about friendship and real connections with people. And if you sit down in the studio with somebody and write an amazing song, I guarantee you could probably be friends with them for life just off that. So it's a magical process and you don't really get it anywhere else. But I would say friendship and then hard work. I mean, it's pretty simple, but like it gets to the extreme. You're definitely gonna want to quit sometimes and just mail it in, but you can't because you love it too much.
100%, man. I mean, that's pretty poetic. Pretty poetic. I feel like you never know what's lying around the corner, and it's pretty amazing how like a simple experience could really change your life. I
Yeah.
feel like one of the great things about the world we live in is, life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and that's what makes it worth living. And I feel like when you're locked in on this creative craft, you really don't know where it's going to go, but you're kind of staying with it, trusting the process, building some strong relationships along the way, and then eventually it could turn into something big. And clearly you've done a lot in the industry, but you still are hungry and willing to accomplish more, man. So that's awesome.
Thank you, dude. You should write a book.
Yeah, should I
Yeah.
just sit down and just bring
You,
out
you,
the old typewriter, dust off the cobwebs, and just type away?
yeah, dude. I mean, you say some thoughtful shit, man.
Appreciate it, man. Right back at you. And to end on an inspirational note right there, Oscar, appreciate your time, man. And more importantly, you guys, do yourselves a favor at the end of July, bookmark it, put it in your calendar, tell your
Yeah.
neighbors about it. Do whatever you have to do, but
Tell your dog.
tell your dog even. Tune in to My Heart Lied. Dropping at the end of July will be available on Spotify and Apple. I'll make sure to put the links down in the description. But enjoy the rest of your day, you guys, and appreciate you for tuning in.